Yeah, let's start. We already discussed that methods. Okay, today discuss what use methods in Python. Okay, method is nothing but what action, behavior, like that your object can perform. That is called as what method. Okay, in object-oriented programming, function it call it as what methods. Okay, in regular programming we call as what that was called as what functions. Okay, in the use method, nothing but method is nothing but action, behaviors, and how your object can perform. Okay, let me take one example. Okay, let me take what one think of an object that can be what your thing. Okay, that the thing can be what car or person. Okay, that's your wish. And the methods what like what things can it can do. Okay, like what car can what do. A car can what drive. A person can what walk like that. Okay, what is this one drive or what this or what some doing some what behaviors or some doing what action but some what are doing that object can perform some action, right? That called as what methods. Okay, in Python there are three main types of methods. Okay, nothing but there are three types. The first type is what object method, is also known as what instance method. Okay, then second type is what your class method, and third type is what static method. Okay, these are the three main important methods in what object oriented programming. Okay, let's discuss one by one. And the first type of what method is what object method, is also known as what instance method. Okay, let's understand what is object method. Okay, object method is also known as what instance method and is most common type of your method will encode in what in object oriented programming. Okay, let me there are what they operate on what was specific instance nothing but object. Okay, you're working what on specific object. You are working what on specific goal. Okay, of your what your of a class. When you use in the class, we can create what so many objects. Okay, in so many object that object having what some particular actions, right? Let me what you take an example like a car or person like that, right? Okay, my Alexa is on. Sorry for the disturbance. Okay, let's start. Okay, object method, right? Object means nothing but what instance method. Okay, they are what a most common type of your method that can be what you are every time you like when you go to the what object oriented programming, that object methods come first. Okay, that's nothing but object is behavior and some performing some action, right? Like if you take one car is a let's say method is called as what drive, that can be what action, right? That is what specific method. Okay, that can be what specific instance or specific object of your class. Okay, this means what they can access for the modified data can be what attributes or properties of your objects. Okay, that belongs to what your particular object. Or imagine the particular object having what particular their properties. Car having their own properties, a person is having own the properties, and students is having a what own attributes or own properties. Okay, remember that one. Okay, let me take one example. If you are what on dog class, okay, you have what dog class. Okay, each individual dog is what an object, right? Okay, in our dog class there are so many dogs. There are so many dogs are individual dog having what individual their properties, right? Okay, we will have its what own name or breed and each. Okay, every dog have a difference between that their properties, right? An object method can be what like a what bark. If a dog is what dog do what action barking, right? So I'm taking a method called as what bark. Okay, I would make what specific dark bark and eat also what one method that can one action can be done by what your dog, right? So that's why I taken what eat method would be what make specific dog eat its own food. Okay, like that your object method will be work. Okay, this object nothing method is nothing but it do what specific object method or specific object action. Okay, remember that one. Okay, And let me take one another example that you can easily understand. And imagine here what bank account you have in what bank account. Okay. Imagine what your that can be what your in object oriented program call it as what bank account class. Okay. Each bank account is what each bank account. In bank account, what each bank account what consider what object. Okay, as its own balance. Like that, the method can be what like your deposit. Okay, when you what it would do increase the balance of that specific amount when you deposit. Okay, and withdraw. Withdraw is what one method. That can be what when you take the money from the bank, that called as what withdraw. Okay, that will be what decrease the balance, and that what was specific amount. Okay, and after let me take another example, a file. Okay, file is what one object. Okay, that file what it has what. Let me take one method that called as what open. So I'm opening the what file that called as what open method to open what specific file or what read the method that what read the content from that specific file. Okay, this what understand by what the object method. Okay, let's see the syntax of your object method is very simple. Okay, try to understand. And object method is like what like defined like what regular functions only, and inside what a class. Okay, of always when you create the method it should be what inside what class. Okay, but the first parameter is always what self. Remember object method and what first parameter always is what self. Okay, and the self parameter refers to what is a special word and special parameter. They're having what instance of your class that the method is being called as what its convention in one Python. Okay, you must what include it. Okay, and this is the syntax. Must you what when you was in the class after the class you have mentioned what the class name. But I taken here what my class. My class is what class name. After you end with what colon, then you have to maintain some indentation. Then after what define the what your method, nothing but object method. Okay, I'm defining what def. So my object method is what you can you give the what method name. So after that the first parameter always should be what self. After that you can pass a parameters up to n based on your requirement. Okay, after end with what colon. After that you can mention your code that uses that can be yourself to the access your object attributes or perform some action. Nothing but your variables, methods, and your constructor. Like that you can mention here. Okay, after that, if you not mention anything means if you pass, if you mention the word call as what pass, that can be built what empty method. Okay, that is the beauty of what pass. Okay, this is what basic syntax of your object method. Okay, let's do what one example. I'm taking here what dark class only, so you can understand neatly. So I'm taking here what class, and class name is what dog. After what you have to end with what colon. Okay, then defining init. Okay, init why I'm using have to initialize, right? So that can be a special method. This init also is called as what constructor. Okay, def init. Okay, then have to pass some first parameter always what self. After that, comma name. After name, comma breed. Name and breed are what parameter one and parameter two. Okay, after that you have to what input to what your own object to a your object oriented programming. Okay, that can be what self dot name is equal to what name. Nothing but we are preparing some variables. Okay, self dot breed is equal to what breed. Okay, self dot is angry is equal to what true. So I'm defining is angry means dog is angry. So the if define what true, the dog is what hungry. If I take the mention as false, the all dogs are what not angry like that. Okay, let me take what one object method one. Okay, method can be what your action. Okay, or behavior. Okay, remember that one. So first method is called as what your def bark. Okay, dog is barking, right? So that's why I taken what bark. And after what you have to mention what parameter. That can be what your self. That should be what first parameter. Okay, after end with colon and print self dot name. It's nothing but we will come what dog name says oof. Okay, then object method 2 that can be what heat. Okay, after that you have to mention what self as a parameter. Then you have to mention your code that what is that if self dot is angry. Is smart is angry. It will go to what? If self is angry, it go to where? Here. Yes, it will see self is angry is equal to what? True. Yes, true. Then if condition will be work. So that can be what? Print. That can be what? Self dot name is eating. Nothing but self dot name come what? Your dog name will be come. Okay. Then can be what? Is eating. That can be what? Your dog will be. If self is hungry, is equal to false. Means after that, dog is eating. The what? Dog will be hungry is not finished right. That can be what? False. So we rewriting that one. Else that's all the else it will go to again and print what? The dog is what is not hungry right now. Like that it will be work. This is what object method 2. Okay. Hope you understand. Let's do what? Object method 3. That can be what? Describe. Okay. I'm doing what? Passing some past customer at always what? Self. This is what? Print what? This is dog name will become that can be what self dot name and what I'm using here what f string method. Okay, and after that a self breed it will come what the breed name. Okay, this what here object method 3. So after that what when we defining class. Okay, first you have what I did class. Okay, after the class name, then I method all the methods, constructor, and variables. Okay, afterward you have to mention what to object name and is equal to what your class name. I have to pass some parameters, some arguments I have to pass, right? So I'm creating some instances, nothing but your objects of your what that class. Okay, I'm taking here what two dogs. That is what one is what my dog, and taking what and passing calling what class name and passing the parameter that is what Buddy comma what golden retriever. Buddy is nothing but what dog name. Okay, golden retriever what your breed name. Okay, then I'm taking what another dog and again passing what the dog name is what Lucy and your dog what breed is what Poodle. Okay, so I'm running this one and I'm connected to the my kernel. Yeah, it's run. After running, the class is created with their objects and data. Okay, and I'm calling that one. That is what I'm calling the object method on the specific instances, nothing but your specific objects. Okay, I'm taking here what my dog action. Okay, I'm taking here what my dog action is nothing but my dog. That is what your first object. Okay, I'm taking what my dog describe. When I this one when I run this, my dog describe what will do. It will print what this is what hoodie and a golden retriever. It will be printed. Okay, when I what my dog dot bark, it will do what bark action. That is what says what is that one? Here lucky says oof like that will become hoodie. And then called my dog dot eat, it will be see. If angry, it will be eat it. After that, the camera what retire to what is angry what false like that. Next, if I run again means we will try eating again with not angry like that will be printed. So I'm running this one. Can see right? This is Goody, the golden retriever. Goody says oof. Goody is eating. And again, when I talk my dog got eat, it will print like Goody is not angry right now. Like that. Okay. This is the beauty of what? It was object oriented programming in specific what? Object method. It's also known as what? Instance method. Okay, and I'm working on what another dog also, and another dog described means it will be described like that. But what? It will be print like what? Lucy. My name is what Lucy, and a or Poodle like that will be printed. So bark means what? Lucy poof says poof like that will be printed. Can see here, right? Okay. And again do what? Some what? I'm showing what each dog was its own state, right? So what printing what? Buddy hungry. So what is that Buddy hungry? My dog is what? Hungry. So it will be printed. And Lucy hungry, another dog is hungry. I'm calling that function. Let's see. And because I did not what here I did not do the method. That method called as what? Is hungry method. So it should be printed like what? Buddy is already eaten, right? And Lucy is not eaten. Can see right would be hungry because it's eaten right that's why come what false use is not eaten so that's why coming what true. Okay, this is how it will be work of your dog class. Hope you are clear with object method, right? Okay, let's continue what another example. That is what your class method is for another type of your what method. Okay, class method. Let's see. Okay, what is class method? The class method are what methods that operate on what on the class itself. Okay, rather than on a specific instance in what class. Okay, they receive what class as their first argument. It's nothing but parameter. Conventionally, we name it as what CLS. Okay, in what in object method we use what self as a first parameter, right? In class method, we have to use what class as a first parameter. Nothing but we have to use what keyword called as what CLS. Okay, instead of what instance self. Okay, class method is nothing but what we operate on what the class itself only. Okay, in object method it work on what objects. Objects having what the specific targets, a specific method, or specific properties like that. Okay, rather than what specific instance of your class. Okay, instance is nothing but object. Remember that one. Okay, they receive what class as their first argument. Always what your class as what argument or parameter. Okay, and class method often used for what factory methods. Okay, what is factory methods? Treating what neat instance of your class in different ways. Okay, and alternative constructor is nothing but what was CLSS and providing different ways initial and an object. Okay, operation related to what your class as what whole. For example, we're tracking a count of all instances created for accessing what level class data like that you can be paid. Okay, let's see the example and you can easily understand and consider what on product can be what product class. Okay, you might want to keep the track of what total products sold. Okay, or to keep on tracking what total products sold across all products, not just one specific product. Okay, the class method what could be what used to increment this what total count. This is what beauty of your class method. Okay, and let me take another example, a date. Okay, let me take what date class. Okay, might have a what class method like what date from string that can be what 2023 10 26. This is what your date to what create a date object from what a string. Okay, like if from this string, then nothing but your this class method. I have to create what one date object. Okay, it's from your string, which is what alternative to what construct what a date object. Okay, this is what beauty of your class method. Okay, let me take understand neatly that can be what syntax. This is the syntax of your class method. Okay, in the class method, you have to use what at class method. If you not mention at the class method, the system not no, not to understand. This is the class method. You have to mention what using at. After that, you have to mention what class method as a decorator. When you using the at, after that you need giving the name that what called as what decorator. Okay, we will learn after upcoming classes what are the decorators, all that one. Okay, write about the method, the definition, and the first parameter always of the class method should be what? The class. It's the thing where we call as what? CLS. Okay, this is the syntax class, and your class name is what? My class. After the end with colon. After that, you have to mention what? Use the decorator. It called as what? At class method. Okay, what is that one? At class method. This is called as what? Decorator. Okay, and if my class method, your class method will be started and always in the what in object method the first parameter should be what self. Here the first parameter should be what class, nothing but CLS. After that come parameter 1 and parameter 2. Okay, after that if you have any code you can use the code, and if you want to create what empty method you can call as what you can pass, you can use what pass keyword and will be create what empty function. Okay, and let me take one example. I'm taking here what product class. Okay. Then yeah, that can be what easily understand. I'm taking here what class and product. Okay. Class name is what product. So I'm initializing that one. That can be what global one. Total products created. Okay. Initially what is what zero. Nothing but the class level attribute. Okay. After that you have to use what initialization, right? So that's why what you're doing what def any self comma name comma price. So I'm initializing, right? When you use the init method, you have to pass self only. Remember that one. Okay, when you use what init method to initialize one, you have to use what self only. Remember. When you use your class method, you have to use what CLS. Okay, as a first parameter. Okay, here what self dot name is equal to what name and self dot price equal to what price. Okay, and now I'm giving the input to their own object. Okay, that all we created. After that, if you want to increment, that can be paused and pass some parameter, right? So product dot. I'm taking here what class as an attribute. That is what product dot total products created is equal to what plus equal to 1 is nothing but total products created plus 1. Okay. And increment total when a product is created. Okay. When we created some more products, the product can be what added to this total product created variable. Okay. And I'm taking what object method. So why I'm when the class because when inside the function the product this variable will be work. This is what these are what local variables. This is what global variable. But if you want to use the global variable, you have to what call that product or call that when using the class, you have to call that class name. Okay, that's why I'm creating what product dot total products created. Then only it will be work. Okay, otherwise you'll get the error. Okay, then when I'm taking what your object method, that can be what def display. I'm creating some object method. If you're using the object method means inside the class method, you can use what create also object method also. Okay, that is the beauty of the object oriented programming. So I'm defining what display info, but nothing but self and print what product. Here what product name will become, then the product price will become. Okay, dot to f nothing will be. If you are having the floating value means the 10.0000000 nothing but it will come only for only two after the after the decimal you get what only two numbers. That is the beauty of what 2f, nothing but two floating values. Okay. After that, you have to class method. When using this class method, you have to use what on decorator that called as what at class method. You have to use what at class method. Then only system can understand you are using what class method. Okay. Def when using the class method, the first parameter always should be what CLS. Okay. And in creating what method get total products. Okay. So returns what total number of your products created and return what your class dot CLS. That is, I'm using a CLS, right? When you using object method, you're creating what self dot like that, right? Here, what CLS dot total products created. Okay, I think what we understanding all products. Okay, and you can using what here that class method. So I'm using that one. When you're using that class method, you can create right. Def create from your string. I mean, this is another method, and this first parameter always should be what CLS, and I'm passing what product string. Okay, and creates what product instance from your what function like that laptop 1200.50 like that. Okay, and that can be what name and price string. Okay, this in the what name will be there and price is there, right? Okay, that can be what name comma price is equal to what product string dot. I'm using what split function. Okay, split function is what dividing that string into what when you see the when I see the what I'm using what is I'm passing some parameter that is what minus. Okay, here when you see the minus the split function what splitting the words. Okay, I'm taking here what as what name comma price string as what variable. So it will be splitting right after splitting it will be splitting like what laptop goes to what name and prices goes to what price string. Okay, this is beauty of what split function. Remember that one. Okay, and I'm doing what here price. So I want value in what floating value, right? So price is equal to what float of price string. Okay, when we do this, the string is converted into what floating value. Okay, and return what the class CLS name comma price. When you this want return what name comma price will be returned, right? That can be what class act as what your constructor here. Okay, in object method self as forecast your constructor. Okay, and we're creating some instances that in but I'm creating what product one. So when I created product one, product is got what laptop comma 1200 dot point 50 and product two is equal to what product is what mouse comma 25.00 and product three is equal to what product dot create from string. Okay, I'm creating from string. Okay, I'm calling that function. That call function is called as what? Create from string. So when I'm using the create from string and passing some dot keyword, I'm using the minus 75.99. When you use in the created from string, this calls this method, and this method will be work. Okay, that method will be splitting and dividing what? Name and price, and the price is converted into what? Float. Then will be written what? Class name comma price. Then only it will be work like what? Your lab name and your price. Like that it will be created. This is the what? The one method that action can be done by what? Created from string. Okay, let's run this. After running this one, the class method will be created and your products also added. Okay, you can see right how many products here: product one, product two, and product three. Okay, here what will become your total products created. It is initializing what? Zero, right? Now we created what? Three products. The three products will be what? Here added. Okay, and some displaying what here? Product one dot display info, product two dot display info, product two the display info. Display info is what? One method. We created what the an object method, right? Display info. Nothing but we will print what? Product and product name, price and this price. Okay. With the two decimals. So I'm running this one. Consider product what? Laptop, and price is what? Like 1200 dollars dot point five, and mouse is for 25, and product is keyboard, and price is for 75.99, like that. Okay, and I'm calling that what? Class method, and that is what? Product dot get total products. Almost only products you don't have you in the product class? Three, right? So let's run this. You can see here that total products created is what? Three. Like that it will be work. Okay, and you can also what? Check the class method from your instance, but is not less common. What? Common only, and generally indicates what? That method can be what? Should likely what to be a call as what? Class directly. What I'm doing means the total products is created from instance. Okay, that can be what? Product one dot get total products. Actually, get total products is what? The global variable, right? So let's run this. You can see it. The total products created is what? Three. Okay, it will be work. Okay, and let's see the what? The third type of your object oriented programming method, that can be what? Static method. Okay, static method is nothing but what? Your utility function, right? Okay, like you are using when you're using the logically you into the class, you can use what? Static method. Okay, but they cannot operate what? Instance what? The can be cannot be used for first parameter as what? Self or class, and it can be a CLS. Okay, we cannot that use that as a first parameter. There's no first parameter in that static method. Okay, they don't have access what? To instance your attributes or class attributes unless you are those attributes are accessed directly by what? The class name. It's nothing but what? Class name dot class attribute. I have to mention directly like that what? Class name dot class attribute. Then only understand what? Class method. Okay, if you want to the object method, you can pass as what? Object method only. Okay, that can be a class name, that can be object name dot object attribute, like that. Okay, and think of like your regular functions that can be openly what? Live inside, right? That can is also static method also work like click simple, that one. Okay, that can be what you are related, but don't need to what? Any auto specific object like that, using the class data for your their job. Okay, this is the beauty of your static method. Okay, let's understand with the beautiful example that you can understand neatly. Okay, imagine we are what doing for some math operation class. Okay, in math operation you would be what method like what? Add. And you if you want to the addition what of two numbers, that can be a comma b, and or if you check what even number is even of number, and if you want the operation but do not depend what specific math operation, that can be what object or the what math operation class itself, that they perform their calculation. Okay, they just take what input and returns their what output, and grouping them under what your math operation makes what sense logically. Okay, this is what one beautiful example. And let pick another example that can be what your string formatter. It can be what having a static method, right? It can be what format the phone number with what number string. But every country is having what a number string starting numbers is changed, right? That can be what format we can do formatting using what string formatter, and which is to just clean up to format a phone number in the string, and it what does not need to know anything about what a specific a string formatter object. Okay, this is what your static method examples. Let's see the syntax. We define what the static method. You if you have to use what at static method, then system can only understand what you're using what static method. You have to use what at static method decorator. After what? After the class, your automation was static method. That can be what you the system can understand. And if you cannot use any word like a purpose parameter as what self or CLS. Okay. And this is what syntax, that is what class, and class name is what your my class. This is the you wish. We can change any name and a dot, and you have to pass what you have to maintain what to what maintain the properties of what your variable name. Then it is also suitable for your what class name also. Okay, I'm using what your at starting method. Okay, at static method. The system can understand what I'm using for static method. After that, I'm defining what my static method parameter one comma parameter two. You can see observe here, but I'm not mentioning what self or say less like that. After that, pass and pass. I'm using what pass because I'm using what to creating what your empty function, right? So that's why I'm passing what pass. Okay, this is for syntax of your static method. Okay, let's do what one example. That is what your calculator class. Okay, I am creating one class. The class name is what calculator. So after that, def initialize, right? So def init. Okay, initialization. When you're using the init method, you have to use what must insert what self, comma what brand. Okay, and taking what here self dot brand is equal to what brand. Okay, and but your calculator brand company name. Okay, and I'm printing what the self dot brand will come what the brand name will become the calculator is initialized. Okay, like that. Okay, I am doing some methods, nothing but doing some action with what your what calculator. So first method I'm taking about when using the static method, you have to use what which decorator static method decorator. At static method I'm using. After that, what I'm doing what operation addition, right? Of two numbers, right? That's why I'm using what def add x comma y. X comma is first parameter one and parameter two. Nothing but number one and number two. So what will do action here? Add two numbers. What should be what written? X plus y. X plus y is nothing but if you take what 10 plus y like that, it will be returning. Okay. And I'm taking what again one static method too. That can be what subtraction. That can be what define subtract x comma y. It will do what subtract the two number. So what will be written x minus y. And I'm creating what static method three. That can be what multiply and def x comma y and multiplies two numbers. Return what x into y using what static method. Okay. And static method four I'm taking here static method def is positive. I'm checking of that number. Okay, checks if what the number is positive. Means if your number is greater than zero, that number is considered as what positive, right? So I'm returning what number is greater than zero. Okay, so we will check and we use the what true or false like that. Okay, and now defining what now we created some method, right? Let's check it will be work or not. And you can call one static method directly what on the class. That can be what I'm checking here what 5 plus 3 is equal to what I'm causing what calculator I'm classing what class and so I'm dot using what add. So when you're using the method you can use what dot operator, and after that I'm passing some what parameters. That can be what 5 comma 3. So I'm passing some argument to that parameter. So when I run this it will do what add is there. Here will be add method is there. So what will be written x plus 5, right? So in place of x plus 5 we're having what 5 comma 3. Okay, 5 comma go to 3 this function, and after that returning what 5 5 plus 3, that is what your 8, right? So it will be printed. So cancel it. So I'm getting white error because the calculator then is not defined because I did not run this class. So that's why not class is created. So I'm running this one. Now the class calculator is created. So after that I'm running this one. Can see right the 5 plus 3 is equal to what 8 is working. We now the static method is working. So do some another operation that is for subtraction 10 minus 4. So I'm calling the calculator dot subtract 10 comma 4. 10 minus 4 is what? 6. Let's check this. This is working. Okay, then do what? Another method is called we create what? Multiplication, right? Let's check that one. And 7 comma 2. 7 into 2 is what? 14, right? Let's check. You can see right? 72 is what? 14. It's working. Okay. And also we created what? Positive number checking, right? Is positive. So we're checking what? Is 10 is positive. That can be what? Calculated that is positive of 10. 10 is what? Positive number, right? So we have to print what? 10 is what? Positive. And is minus 5 is positive? No, right? That can be a false, right? So we'll get for your true and it is what? False. Okay, let's run this. You can see, right? 10 is what? Positive is true. And can see right? Is minus 5 is positive? No. False. Like that, it will be working. Okay. And next to the common instance to call this itself static method that can be what? Less common. Okay. I'm creating what here? My calculator is equal to what? Calculator of what? I'm creating some one object. That object name is called what? My calculator. For the calculator, I'm naming that one what? Casio is the calculator name. So I'm calling what? Calculator of Casio. That can be what? Casio is name will be created for that calculator. So I'm printing what? 20 plus 8. Okay. Nothing but we're doing what? Addition, right? That can be what? My calculator dot add. Okay. Is equal to what? 20 comma 8. Okay. This will be work. 20 plus 8 is what? 28, right? So let's run this one. Can see right? The Casio calculator is initialized and 20 plus 8 is what? 28. And you can pass some now onwards you can call what? Casio also. It will be work. And you can see right? I'm checking what? This 0 is positive. 0 is positive. Let's check that. Can see right? The 0 is not positive number. 0 greater than number is called as what? Positive number. And below number called as what? Negative number. 0 is what? 0 only. Okay. And you cannot access what instant object from your static method without what? Instant reference. Okay. Following cost with error can be uncommented inside the static method. That can be what? Self dot brand. Okay. Because we cannot create what self, right? Okay. Let's run this. What you will get what? One beautiful error. That is what name self is not defined. Okay, this is what the self is not working what in static method. Okay, this is the beauty of what is what static method. Okay, and you can see a comparison for easily what you can remember that one. So is there is a all types that were object method, class method, and static method. Object method is also known as what? Static method. Okay, and you have to use what? Some decorator, right? For that, in object method, don't use any object any decorator. That is what we cannot that none. Okay, in class method, you have to use one decorator. That decorator is called as what? At the class method. In static method, you have to use what one method decorator that is called as what? At static method. Okay, if not mention that the system not understand that method also considered as what object method. If you mention what at class method, system can understand using what class method. If you use what static method, the system can understand that static method. Okay, and in object method, you have to use what first parameter always what self. Okay, it's nothing but instance. Okay, in class method, you have to first parameter always should be what CLS. Okay, nothing but your class. Okay, in static method, we do not use any what first parameter as what no self or class. We mention directly the parameter as your requirement. Okay, and to access that elements, you can what instant data. You have to use what that self dot attribute. The self dot your nothing but your names like that. And we for class method, you have to use what class dot attribute. That if you want the class data. So you know there is a static method, no instance of no or class data unless directly or what you directly call by what the class name dot class attribute. You have to mention like that. Okay. But you in this class method, you have to use what CLS dot attribute here self dot attribute. Remember that one to access the data. Okay. And what is the purpose of your object method? Operation on what specific object data. Okay. Because every object having got their own properties, right? Okay. Then come to the class method. What is the purpose of that one? Operation related to the class that can be your factory methods, alternative constructor, or working like a all products we consider like that. Okay, like we consider that e-commerce website like that. Okay, And when you're taking the static method, utility function like a logically group is a class. We take about calculator, right? Like that. Okay. And when you want to, if you want to the call by, you can call by like that. If you want to the call that method, you can use what? Object dot method. Nothing but your object name dot method. And if you use the class method, you can use a class dot method or object dot method. Okay. And here also class dot method or object dot method. You can what? Call by also. Okay. And when to use, let's see that one. And if you want to the object method, you can when you have to use when the method needs for access or modify the data specific to that individual object. If you want to do some operation with what individual object, you can use what object method. Like that, a car object what starts method, which changes what is running state or other specific car like that. Okay, and class method. Class method is what you have to use what when method needs what to operate on class itself only. That's why when you can use what class method. When you need to what run some create different types of your instances of your class, then you can use what factory method or nothing but your class method. Okay, example your logger is there. Okay, you have to using the class method, you have to set default level. That can be what configuring what logging for your logger. Instance a user can be your class method like that. Okay, so you when you use what static method means, that it can be a utility function that can be your if you have some logical things, you can use what static method. And to what your bus does not need any access any instance per specific like self or class. You can denote to mention as a specific parameter when using the logic thing. Okay, like thing your calculator as example or validation class can be used. It can be checking for you is a wide email or not, or it can be what doing some formatting according to what their requirement. That can be work like a static method. Remember, if you want to do some any logical operation, you can use what static method. If you want to use the operator on class itself, you can use what class method. An object method, it can be your individual object you are working like a method. Okay, the individual object is having some properties, right? Okay, like that. And today we understand some all types of your methods like object method, static method, class method, and we writing some clean and effective objects understand with the oriented code and keep practicing. And let's stop here and continue the next classes. Okay.